Hi there, this is Kevin from RogueDeckBuilder.com here with my vlog for the Pro Tour Dragon's Mace experience. Let's just start off with how it all went, what I accomplished, what I didn't accomplish, and what I learned from Dragon's Mace. So first off, it was a great experience. Got to give a big shout out to Rich over at Gatheringmagic.com for providing me with a hotel room, some cards to borrow, and he paid for a lot of dinners. So really cool guy. I'm so thankful for the quote-unquote sponsorship, I guess, that he provided for me to participate in my very first Pro Tour. One of the cool things that he did was he followed me around the entire tournament and took a lot of pictures, and he's going to do kind of a documentary type video of my first Pro Tour, kind of a beginner's first Pro Tour. And so check it out. I'll link it when he does upload it. And yeah, give them some support at Gatheringmagic.com. If you like my videos, if you like Rogue Deck Builder, please go support Gathering Magic and Cool Stuff. They have done a lot for this channel without asking much in return. I mean, the guys have just they've bent over backwards to help me, I guess, grow as a person and as a YouTuber. So big shout out to them, big thanks to them. Another cool person that I was able to meet was Jack the Mind Sculptor. He actually shared the hotel room with us, and he gave me hives. My hives are down right now because I had to actually get on prednisone because I was having trouble breathing. And I guess I shouldn't blame it on Jack because it's probably something I ate or drank. Jack's a great guy. If you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. I'll put it in the description below. Jack the Mind Sculptor. He has a lot of great content. He did a lot of interviews and a lot of other stuff at the Pro Tour Dragon's Maze, and they're all really great interviews, especially like the interview with Conley Woods. I actually talked to Conley Woods for about 15 minutes and had him sign a card and sign my Rogue Deck Builder. I'll have to find it. It's not here. I don't think it's in range for me to grab and show you, but I did post it on Facebook, so if you want to see it, go to Facebook. And he signed my RogueDeckBuilder.com promo, which has the Going Rogue logo. So anyway, that was a cool experience meeting Conley Wood. He's really the only one that I cared about meeting. I'd love to meet Frank Lepore. Frank Lepore is another one that's kind of been a big inspiration to me, but he was not there as far as I know. I didn't see him there. I didn't know anyone that knew him that was there. So Frank, let me know the next Pro Tour or Grand Prix or whatever big event you'll be at, and I'll try to meet you because you have been a very big inspiration to me. Met Brian Kibler. I actually challenged Brian Kibler to a fight to the death, which he declined, unfortunately. I approached him and I said something like, we should fight to the death for the most attractive person here, or something like that, because you know, in a swarm of nerds, I think Brian Kibler and I stand out a little bit because we don't fit that stereotype, I guess, of your typical Magic player. So but Brian Kibler's a really cool guy too. I had a nice little chat with him. Met a few other pros. Met a lot of guys from the Channel Fireball team and the Star City teams, and played against some really good pros. I played against Junya, Ienaga, I guess. I played against him twice, and I'll talk about that later. Whereas Nakamura actually signed my Loxodon and Smiter, which is really cool. I had every one of my opponents on day one and partially through day two sign a card if I played them, and so I got some pretty cool cards signed by my opponents. A very good experience. So anyway, let's move on here. I guess I'll talk about the Pro Tour itself and what a great experience it is. At the Pro Tour, they welcome you with a lot of cool stuff. You get a free t-shirt here, if you can kind of see that. My webcam is absolutely awful. I am sorry about it. I need to get a new one. And they give you a free t-shirt, they give you sleeves, and they give you a draft set, which is 1 Dragon's Maze, 1 Gate Crash, and 1 Ravnica booster for you to practice that the day before the Pro Tour actually starts. So that was kind of cool. Me and Jack did a mock draft. I'll put the link in the description as well, where we opened my packs and talked about what we'd first pick or second pick and what kind of colors this would probably lead us into. So go check that video out. Really cool. Has 2 YouTubers that I know a lot of you may or may not be subscribed to Jack, but you should if you go check his channel out. And if you like what he does, definitely give him a sub. Also, the day 2 was kind of cool. They give you sleeves again day 2 for your draft, and the draft experience itself is very well run. Yeah, you pick a card. You have 50 seconds, I believe, on the first pack to pick a card. Then you pass it to your left, and your opponent has to count the cards, make sure that you're not giving him less cards than that. I mean, they're very, very strict. They stamp all the cards so people can't insert cards of their own to the draft. And anyway, it's just a very well run tournament. It went very smoothly. I didn't have any complaints like I usually do at big tournaments. I didn't get a judge calling me one time for anything. And in fact, there's a couple times where I'm sure they could have called judges over those minor infractions like accidentally revealing a card, or like one time I had a 59 card deck and didn't even realize it, and my opponent came and just ran it to me. The opponent before came and he's like, "Hey, this is your card. It somehow got shuffled in my deck. Here, hurry and put it in." And I had already presented my deck to my opponent, and he'd already cut it. I hadn't quite drawn cards yet, so I don't know if a judge's call would have done anything anyway. But he didn't even care. He's just like, "Hey, just put it back in and shuffle it up." And, I didn't mean to do that. It was a Loxodon Smiter, which I definitely wanted in my deck. And I'm glad that he was a graceful opponent and just said, shuffle it in and let's play. So none of the I guess what I'd call douchebaggery moves from most like Grand Prix and competitive tournaments that I've been to, where the opponents try to get you with a gotcha type move and try to get you disqualified. Didn't have to run into that at all. I didn't even see anyone near me having to run into that. So everyone was very well mannered at the Pro Tour, which was a huge relief. It was a breath of fresh air compared to my last competitive RELs. So let's talk about how I did. Day one on the draft portion, I first picked a Ral Zarek, which was awesome. I got a stamped Pro Tour Ral Zarek. I'll probably be giving it away for a contest in the future, even though some people I know will say I should probably keep that on as some memorabilia, but I'm not really a memorabilia type guy to begin with. There is some things in my life which I consider sentimental, but nothing like I don't make a big deal on possessions and cars or pictures or anything like that. So the Ral Zarek, even though it's cool, my first pick that I drafted at the Pro Tour, my first Pro Tour overall, I'd probably just be giving that out as a prize, because I think it will mean a lot more to someone else than it would to me. Anyway, my second pick ended up being a Flux Charger, and so I was pretty much in Izzet, which is one of my strategies that I like to go, because Izzet in the third pack is usually wide open, and the Rakdos cards from the third pack as well, if you go Grixis, or the other strategy is going Rug in Gatecrash, both of those packs, or both of those colors, seem to be open as well. So my second pack, the rest of the Dragon's Maze pack was pretty underwhelming. Picked up a few Cluestones and Guildgates here and there, but for the most part, the rest of the pack was just garbage. But the second pack, I did open up a Duskmantle Seer and was able to get like 2 Spies, I believe, the 2/3 flying for 4, which is actually a really, really good card in this format. Everything I had in my deck had evasion, and I curved out at a 5 casting cost Thoughtcast. So, and that was just a one of, and there was just the Duskmantle Seer, the Ral Zarek, and Flux Charger, and the 2 Spies that were also 4 drops. And everything else was less than a 4 drop. So I decided to go into an aggro strategy, which was awesome, because in pack number 3, I got basically all the Rakdos staples. I got the Gorehouse Chainwalker, I got the Splatter Thug, I got a few other Unleashed guys, got the 1/1 Flyer Lifelink guy. So it just curved out perfectly, and I had a great deck. I was feeling great about going into round number 1. Unfortunately, round number 1 was one of those where I kept a 2-land hand with, I believe, double colors. So I just I actually think it was triple colors. I think I had a Guildgate and 1 land both times, and I never saw that third land drop before he overwhelmed me with his fast Naya deck. He had like cards like Centaur Healer and Goreclimb Rampager, and he was just too quick for me to really stabilize and do anything. So I was very disappointed, very bummed out that I really didn't even get to play the first 2 matches, the first 2 games, as like I said, I kept the 2-lander, maybe a little bit greedy of me, but usually a 2-lander and a 6 card hand is great. And a 200 and a 7 isn't that bad, especially I was on the play first round because he won the die roll, and I thought I could easily get into that third. Like everything in my hand was like a 3 drop, or I think I had a Cluestone both times. So all I needed to do is hit that third land, drop the Cluestone, and then I could have dropped anything I drew from there on. But it is what it is. Those type of games happen. Started the day off as 0-1 and 0-2 overall, and my second round I went up against a player from Australia. It was his first the player before, he was from China. That was his first Pro Tour. So I didn't feel too bad about losing to someone who it was his first Pro Tour as well. So anyway, the second match was up against an Australian kid. This is, I believe, his 4th Pro Tour. So he had a lot of experience, and he was playing a Boros or a Orzhov aggro deck. A lot of 1 toughness creatures, and game number 1, I top decked, and I was dead on board next turn unless I could top into 1 card in my deck, which was Electricity, and lo and behold, Electricity came out. He swung in. I was able to activate my Rakdos Keyrune and block his zombie dude, the 3/4 Unleashed zombie, and then he then tapped the key rune in response for the red, and then tapped my other remaining land for the overload for electricity, and was able to completely wipe his board. The first strike hit his zombie, taking it down to one toughness, and then electricity finished off his entire board. Like I said, he had a 2-1 Azorius Arrestor, he had a 3-1 Daring Skyjack, and the 3-1 Flying Dude out on board. The 3-1 Flying first strike for 5, and just completely wiped his board and ended up beating him. And then the second game, I got out an early Duskmantle Seer that, even though his deck was completely aggressive, he kept drawing into like his 5 drops off of the Duskmantle Seer, and I was able to evasion, swing over top of him, and kill him. So pretty cool experience on round number 2. It was basically my first experience of playing against what I would call a true pro, because any other opponent would have fallen for my bluffs. What the scenario was is I had a Flux Charger and a couple other guys on board, and he was down to like perfect lethal damage. I had 5 cards in hand, and he was down to perfect lethal damage if I was able to switch the power and toughness to my Flux Charger. But he had a 3/2 blocker, flying blocker out that he could block with and save 5 damage, but then he'd lose his 3/2 flyer if that were the case, because I believe, did I have something? I had something out that pumped I had a Simic, is it Flux Mage? Flux something? Simic, the Simic guy that moves a counter over from him to another creature. So I had that on board that I could activate to put my Flux Charger up to a 2/6. And he had the 3/2 first striker. So if he blocked, I would just move a counter and he'd lose his guy. But if he didn't block, I would be able to cast an instant and switch the power and toughness to 6/2, and then that'd be lethal with all the other guys that were swinging in. But he knew that, his only option was that if I didn't have the instant sorcery, he could kill me on the backswing. And it was just crazy, because any other player, I think, would have blocked and hoped they top decked into something in their deck, and they'd be at 6 life, and then hopefully, like I said, they top deck into an answer, and then they could stabilize or whatever. But he knew his only chance of winning was to call my bluff and make sure and just let me cast that instant and die. And I didn't have it, and it was just surprising, because he has to block. I'm representing lethal on board. I was even counting out the damage, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Getting that whole bluff thing, and I'm acting like a new player. So usually the pros read into that, and they're like, "Oh, okay, so he's representing lethal. He's got the instance. I have to block." But he didn't. He made the right call. I ended up taking him down to 4, and luckily I had a bounce spell in my hand, or otherwise he could have swung back on the backswing and killed me. So very cool experience for me to actually, like I said, go up against a high caliber player and actually get the victory. And then round 3, I went up against Yunya Ienaga, which is, I think that's how you say his name, the 2011 world champ. And it was a very easy matchup, I guess is what you say, because I just got God draws both games. First game, Ral Zarek came down and made quick work of him, and second game, Duskmantle Seer Duskmantle and Ral Zarek came out first game, and then second game I got off to an incredibly aggressive start. He decided to cast I had a Stealer of Secrets out, and he had I think it's the bird that's a 2/2 that gets +3/+3 every time you catch a creature spell, I think. And he decided he wanted to try to race me, so he didn't block. I swung in with the Stealer of Secret, and he did not block with his bird, and I was able to draw a card off that. And then he decided to swing in for 5 the next turn after he cast a creature, and I was able to kill his creature, swing in with the Stealer of Secret, get another card. I think the Stealer of Secrets end up getting me 3 cards, and in one of those 3 cards, it was the Toil and Trouble, the one that draws a card and our target opponent draws 2 cards and then deals damage equal to the number of cards in their hand. And he had 7 cards in hand. I could take him to 9, and it would do exactly 11 damage. But he had 5 mana untapped, and I just thought, okay, he's got to have an instant or sorcery in his hand. I'm not going to go for the kill. I'm going to wait. I have a Totally Lost in my hand. I can deal with anything he has. I also had a Dispel in my hand. So I just passed the turn instead of go for the kill. And lo and behold, an Advent of the Worm did come down at the end of the turn, and I was able to Dispel it. And then the next turn, Totally Lost something on back on the top of his library, and then go for the kill the next turn as he was tapped out. So I do feel like I outplayed Ienaga in that deck, in that match. He did end up beating me in round number 2, or day number 2 in the draft pod number 2. But I mean, we had such awful cards in that round number 2 that it was just pathetic, and I felt really bad going 0-3 in the draft portion the next day. But I ended up day 1 finishing at 4-4. My very first opponent in standard was Shuhei Nakamura, and he was running Brian Kibler's junk deck, and he just absolutely just destroyed me. His Sin Collectors, every time he cast a Sin Collector, he got rid of an Advent of the Worm, and both games he got 2 Lotless Trolls out, and my deck had really, and he was a smart player, he kept his Lotless Trolls at 4/3s, did not put them up to 5, so I could not exile them with Celestial Charm, and those 4/3s just eventually got him there. He could block everything that I had, I couldn't swing into him, he could swing into my Centaur tokens just fine, and yeah, he just overwhelmed me with those Lotless Trolls. Then I lost another match to the next game. I lost to, I believe, a Whispering Madness and Notion Thief combo deck, which I think that I beat that deck 9 out of 10 times, but I stumbled on lands and he had the combo in hand both games and made quick work of me. Then the next, I won my first standard match against a Jund aggro deck. My deck was just, Jund aggro. My deck was just completely built to beat Jund aggro. Very easy matchup. My Centaur healers overwhelmed his Dreg Manglers and so forth, and not Centaur healers, sorry, just Centaur tokens. As I began to, one game I drew all 4 root-bound defenses and was able to populate, and he couldn't deal with it. So then the next match I lost to a green-white. I was now 2-3 in the, 2-3 for the day. Lost to the green-white, but I was able to, or 3-3, sorry. 3-4. I went to 3-4 after I lost to the green-white. And it was just whoever came out to getting the Guild Mage first was able to populate and overwhelm me. And he drew his Guild Mage, and that was basically the scenario. And I kind of stumbled as well on lands that game. Didn't find any removal till it was too late. Then game number 8 for the day, I guess it is, for the standard number 5, I went up against another green-white deck, and this time I got the Guild Mage first game and was able to populate and overwhelm him. And second game, we both mulled to 5, and I had 3. I kept a hand with 3 lands, all white sources. All had at least a white source in it. A Loxodon Smiter and a Boros Reckoner. So it was the perfect hand for a 5-land hand. And the Boros Reckoner and the Smiter got there before he could stabilize. He did stumble at 2 lands. He didn't get his 3rd land until I believe turn 4, and I was able to punish him for it. So I ended up the day at 4-4, which is really cool experience. Made day 2 on my very first day, and yeah. Anyway, it's basically my day 1 experience. Day 2 was horrible. It did not go away at 0-3 in the draft. It did horrible in standard. I mulled a ton. It was one of those days when Magic just wasn't working. It's every game I mulled, every game I got stuck on either no green source or no red source, even though there's plenty of both of those in my deck. Just a horrible, awful experience. But that's Magic. Sometimes the variance does that, and sometimes you draw like you're on fire, and that was not my day. So I ended up dropping after a few rounds and go playing in this free standard. That's one of the cool things about Pro Tour Dragon's Maze is they have free drafts going on day 1, 2, and day 3. So I ended up doing like 10 drafts for free. And they even had like sleeves available to sleeve up your cards for free. Just a great experience. I wish I wouldn't have been in San Diego with very little luggage because it made me sick. One of my pet peeves is when people throw Magic cards away, even commons and uncommons. And I was able to even save some. I save a lot of cool cards out of the like Sin Collectors, which I know will be a $1, $2 card in the future, and a bunch of stacks and stacks of uncommons. Like this box right here is completely full, and that's all uncommons in here. I was able to save because the janitors were just coming across the table and just like swooping their arm across the table and throwing away all the Magic cards, and it made me sick that was happening. I mean, the Wizards guys were trying to save as much as they could, but the janitors were pretty aggressive at clearing those tables up when people left stuff. So just so many cards got thrown away, kind of a sick feeling, but yeah. Anyway, so I'll have to do a video sometime about I paid for an entire play set of both Sword and Feast and Famines and Sword of War and Pieces once off of Shattering Sprees. At GP Salt Lake, I had like pages full of Shattering Sprees, which the vendors were buying at $3 at the time. And I just sold so many Shattering Sprees and paid for all those Sword of War and Peace and Feast of Famines. And the reason I had so many Shattering Sprees was the same thing. Back in Guild, I think it was Guild Pact is when they came out at the big pre-release. People were just chucking cards, and I just went around and picked up all the cards, and that's how I got so many Shattering Sprees. I mean, think if I would have done that during when Kitchen Finks or even Sensei's Divining Top, even though that was a big card right off the bat. But I mean, some of these uncommons that people don't think about end up being quite valuable. So I ended up getting this whole box full of uncommons, and I believe I filled this box full of uncommons as well. So hopefully I have some money out of that. But a lot of free cards, a ton of rares over the 10 free drafts I did. Didn't actually get anything good out of those 10 free drafts except an Aetherling and an Overgrown Tomb. But still, that's a free Aetherling and a free Overgrown Tomb. So anyway, I guess that's my experience for Pro Tour. Pretty cool. Got this t-shirt, got some sleeves, got some other cool stuff. I'll probably be giving away, like I said, that Rouse Eric in the coming future for a prize. And anyway, let's talk about the website is coming good. We almost have it up. Let you guys know when the website's up. We're going to be hosting, first thing on the website we'll be doing is hosting the Rogue tournament on MTGO. So if you're not a part of our clan, give me a message here on YouTube or Facebook, and we will, and then message us on MTGO. Either myself, which is VCR Avalanche, or Morton, who is Adonis2K, Adonis 2K, and we'll add you to the clan. As soon as we're at 24 members, we need one more. We'll hold a tournament. The winner, Morton has already said, is going to get an Obzadot, the Ghost Council, and I'll probably spike in some tickets or some packs as well. So definitely check that out. We're going to try to stream it on either Twitch or YouTube or something, and yeah, let's get a cool tournament going. Anyway, I'm a little past 22 minutes, which is very long. I've been rambling here. We're going to do a Q&A coming up soon, so if you have any questions for us, write those down and join our Q&A, and we'll answer your questions. This is Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.